Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for coming early to our meeting this afternoon. This is Aliyah Evangelista from the Asia eHealth Information Network. Welcome to our AeHIN Hour, where we talk on various topics concerning technology for health. The time now is 3:06 p.m. Philippine time, and we're broadcasting from the National Telehealth Center in Manila, Philippines. And before we start our session, let's have a quick orientation on how we can make the most of our presence today. And I hope you're focusing now your eyes on our presentation slide uploaded. Our topic today is enterprise architecture and the role of Archimate and TOGAF. So strategic EA is in EA, we plan to get the most returns out of the investments we make. And today, we're to feature our topic with Mr. Sunil KempeGowda of CNC Solutions. So some quick announcements before we start our session. We're now using Cisco WebEx Meeting Center. And if you are encountering problems in our meeting room, please log out and rejoin. Our meeting number is 865-737-521. And our meeting password is Sydney123. Your mic will be mute for the rest of our meeting. And for your questions, you can chat it in the chat box, or you can raise your question directly to our speaker by clicking the Raise Your Hand button, as you can see in our screen right now. Some things you would like to remember so that we will know who are we inside the meeting room. Please chat your names and your designations so that we will know what countries are here in our meeting. You could use this syntax, your name and your designation. So I could have my introduction myself. So please chat it to everyone. I'm Aliyah from AeHIN. I received Saira Nigar from Pakistan. Thank you very much. And for the others, I hope you will chat your names and designations. Okay. And hopefully you will stand by for a photo-taking session after our meeting. We will not be using our audio for this afternoon to be able to save our bandwidth. But thank you so much, Dr. Jargal from Mongolia, for that. And lastly, please answer the evaluation form that I will be emailing to you after our meeting. Thank you for the introductions that I am seeing in our chat box. So to start our session, our speaker today is Mr. Sunil KempeGowda of CNC Solutions. He is specializing in cloud computing, enterprise architecture, business process design, and service-oriented architecture. He has worked in large-scale business-critical systems in domains such as accounting, health, e-commerce, education, banking, and video on demand. Sunil is pursuing his PhD in managing projects in emerging technology on mainframe to virtual, agile, and distributed cloud computing and mobile technology at the University Technology Sydney. He is actively involved in the Open Group Initiative as Open Platform 3 Archimate Cloud Computing Workgroup. Sunil is one of the contributors for the Open Group Cloud Ecosystem Reference Model. Thank you very much for coming early, and I know you are excited for our speaker this afternoon. Please welcome Sunil KempeGowda. Hi Sunil, you're on now. I'm now changing you as our presenter for this meeting.
Okay.
Just show your desktop so we will be able to see your presentation.
Okay, that's great, yeah.
So have you clicked show your desktop?
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm here.
That's in the quick
okay.
start tab.
Start my video.
share your desktop on the Quick Start tab located on the left of your screen under the menu bar. You're able to see it?
I'll share my desktop, yes. Yeah.
Yes, there. Now we're seeing your screen. Your screen is arriving. We're seeing a teal colored screen, and I think your presentation is connecting. So now we see your screen, and you can click show your or view your slide. Show your
slide. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Yeah.
Okay, take it away. We will just be here to listen to you, and if there are questions for our participants, please feel free to chat it in our chat box. Go ahead, Sunil.
Yeah. Hi, welcome all. How are you?
We're fine.
Hi.
Some are going to chat their messages.
Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry. Everybody is muted. Sorry for it. Yeah. Okay. Today we'll be covering about what is enterprise architecture in a very brief, and role of Archimate and TOGAF, how it's going to make a dynamic enterprise. In the current environment where the funding is being reduced, where users are becoming more demanding, where healthcare industry, the systems are aging, and where new systems, new technology is emerging, it has become a big challenge of how to transform the existing systems into a new era with the emerging technology. At the same time, the patients are becoming more demanding, the demography is changing, demographic is changing, users are moving across, the world has become like a global village. So how to address the challenges? So how as enterprise architecture by itself, with the aid of TOGAF and with Archimate, how it is going to make a solution which is applicable, where healthcare industry can able to provide a quality healthcare to the citizens. So I'll be discussing today now. I'll be just telling you briefly about our company and just a brief introduction of current challenges. I hope all of you are facing the same issue today. And I give a brief introduction of TOGAF and Archimate. At the same time, I'll be seeing how I'll be informing you or telling you how Archimate is complementing TOGAF. And finally, I'll conclude with a question and answer session. We are a company existing from 2002. We mainly focus on enterprise and solution architecture. We provide thought leadership, being a part of a golden member for the open group. We participate actively in emerging technology as well as all the forums and the applicable forums as well as work groups in the open group. And we involve and see where is the industry going, and we see what is the best practice, and we try to share the same information with our customers. And TOGAF is a open group. It has been, they derived the framework from the Department of Defense. The same they gave to the world the internet. The same Department of Defense about 15 years back, they gave the architecture to the open group. The open group from then on with the industry across the world, they take the best practices and make as part of the offering with vendor neutral to the industry. So generally we work in various domains. Health is one of our key domain, education, IT service providers, public sector, supply chain and financial system, and few more. This shows our customers, our Fortune 500 customers, and we got presence across the world, and we work with the government. Few to mention, we work with this currently Brunei, Mongolia, as well as India. A project in the pipeline soon will be starting working with a part of a project in India. Okay, already Ali has told about me. Just a brief introduction about myself. I'm working in the last 18 years in the industry. I worked with various domains. So my passion with enterprise architecture started about 3 years back. When I started my PhD, I was looking what can solve the problem in the industry. So that time I came across there's only one framework among all in the industry can really solve the problem. We're very fortunate to join CNC Solutions because CNC Solutions was the only company which they came across which practically involved the open group, and what they learn or what they come across, they try to the practice plus they teach. So they're trying to get the best in the industry. So currently what I'm doing is I'm trying to see how the projects can be managed in emerging technology, what is the best methodology using TOGAF as a framework. Okay, just to start with, say an end user has got a lot of information to choose whatever he wants to, right from a book, right from a car, or right even to go for a good vacation. But at the same time, if some healthcare issue comes, it does not get a quality information what to choose. It's not quantifiable, and some lot of information what he gets is not a valid one. But the same thing when he gets for a car, it is quite accurate. So why is this mismatch? So what is the reason behind it? So I'll be just going across first what contributed to this all, and how can we able to solve this is the topic. And I'll be just covering about the enterprise architecture, briefly about Archimate, and I'll tell you how with a combined strength they can able to help us to solve the problem. Because healthcare industry has come in the last few decades, depending on the financial viability of a country, health system have been adapted might be more than 30-40 years. Some are about to be changed, and recently discussed with one of the doctors. So he was telling what was taking a room size for X-ray, now it takes just a briefcase size. So technology has changed so much rapidly. But at the same time, some countries have the luxury of adapting the best technology, but is not in the reach for all the other countries in the world. But because of even the healthcare cost offering for a systems has reduced, so slowly they are adapting, they are transforming the entire system. Again, it must be in a very planned approach. So anywhere if you go, the major problem the countries are facing is continued population growth. Users are becoming more demanding to have access to high quality healthcare systems. And one of the main the countries are facing is aging population. So with aging population, the demand on healthcare systems are much more. At the same time, the governments are having cut on the budgets, whatever the finance they're giving to healthcare industry or even to the public utilities is drastically being reduced. So how the industry is able to come over this problem or these issues? So again, the new emerging technology like social media is giving more space to the users, are more demanding, more information at the fingertips. And mobile, as they get access anywhere, they expect the same kind of access in the healthcare industry. With analytics, they get very good information of other products. Of course, it's a good and bad. In health industry, it can be utilized to improve the health service as well as to improve the R&D on a lot of medicines and healthcare systems. And cloud technology is giving an option of healthcare industry to reduce the capital investment on the systems and straight away go adapt the modern technology. So again, it depends on a lot of privacy acts, legislation requirement of the respective countries. So all these are driving for a new business model across the government as well as the private healthcare industries. So again, all this is contributing for the government or the healthcare companies need to rethink their role of how they delivery as well as the business models, how they're contributing to how they're going to give the best service to the citizens or the patients. So if you look, I just briefly told what are the challenges, and I told you that the technology has been adapted in the healthcare industry in the last few decades. So what is the future? The future they want to do is they want to achieve they want to adapt technology for a better achieving healthcare efficiency, like through there are a lot of things happening in the world like big data. All of you are aware. It is giving a lot of information. Churn the data. What was taking few years, they can able to churn in few hours. And because of social media and because of having information at the tips, they can able to improve the patient's experience and outcomes because they get a real-time feedback of the patient's experience and they can able to customize and give a service to the end users. And one of the main thing is diseases has been there for a long time, but this has been exposed more because of the health style of the people, of the population, and users becoming more used for comfort zone of watching TV as well as using the modern systems. So how can able to prevent the not prevent, how to at least give a better service for the chronic disease and how to manage and what are the preventive actions. So how can this can be achieved using technology. So all this going forward, so the only way we can do is through adapting technology to give better support for the citizens. So on this context, I'll explain what is an enterprise, so how it is related to a public health. So if we look up any enterprise, it's a collection of group of organizations having set of goals, a common set of goals. Example, Ministry of Health, the common set of goals is to give the best medicine or best service to the patients. So in the Ministry of Health, they'll be having hospitals. The related things are pharmacies, health professionals, doctors. So an organization, the enterprise constitutes of people as well as systems. Again, if you extend the enterprise further, we have even the drug manufacturers, the distributors, even what we call the insurance companies, all becomes part of an enterprise. So if we go to just take 10 years back, all these were working in silos independently. But now the current requirement is all they work on a mutual. They need to have share the information as on a need basis. To achieve this, what they require? They require a very proper enterprise architecture, where the information can be shared across hospitals, clinics, and what are the Ministry of Health strategy requirement. They say it can be able to see in real time what's happening. They can able to enable the systems to be based on what is required by the departments. So if you take the architecture, what does architecture really consist of? It consists of processes. The process is defined by the people and the business model and the services to be given. So how it is be achieved? It can be achieved by information systems and basically through technology. So technology is the part which keeps on changing. How to keep track of this? So what we need to do is we need to make the process very efficient, and the process and the information to be neutral about the technology. Technology changes, but not the process. Process may be improved, but once the process is improved, irrespective of technology, it can be able to do its purpose or whatever function it is supposed to do. So whatever we define must not be technology focused. So how to achieve this? So if you take an enterprise architecture, in a high level, it is a strategic techniques. So ultimately what the business want to achieve. If we take public health, they want to give the best service. The government want to say, yes, we want to achieve the best healthcare for our citizens. So how they are able to go on this path? First, they're going to see, hey, where are we? What is our current status? What kind of systems are we having? What kind of process we are having? Okay, so how to improve this? So first they need to get a current status of the systems what they're having. Then vision of having a best medical care for the citizens. How to achieve this? To achieve this, it can be achieved only by a systems which is integrated across a country. As I told earlier, the information is nowadays across the globe. nowadays a lot of countries are trying to have a common health practice. So the countries need to share the health information among themselves. So how to achieve this? So that is a target architecture where we are having an information systems which can boundarylessly it can follow, which can flow across other systems irrespective of the hospitals or clinics or country itself. For this we must come with the guideline. So as you can see here, on the left side you can see here we have a current model. I'm just trying to show it's like an old bus or something like the systems with so much of systems talking to each other and not integrated, or sometimes there is so much of manual process, or there will be integration software which is very expensive to maintain. So as I show the target to be model, you can see a sophisticated sports vehicle. So what this shows is, so what was such a difficult thing, the future must be such agile kind of systems where we can able to give an efficient service to the citizens. So if you take any industry, it can be health or it can be any general industry. There is only 4 models or 4 domains we call architecture domains. One is the business architecture. So based on the business, we know what kind of applications. So based on, or we know based on the business what kind of data we need to do. So based on this tree, we choose the technology. So as you can see here, we got the layers very clearly defined. So once we have these layers completely separated, so the technology does not matter for whatever it changes. Today it can be the emerging technology of 2014. So the same, once we got this 3 domains properly defined, the bottom layer technology layer can be changed, whatever emerges or whatever comes in 2020. So what are the benefits of an EA? So having EA, what it does is, it's able to align, so whatever the business processes to underlying systems we're going to select, or we're going to select might be after next 2 years. So sometimes some of the initiation what we start it may take its own time because we want to have a system which can able to talk across boundaryless to different countries. Some implementation take few years. And is able to facilitate for a clear communication between different departments or different people. It gives a proper roadmap to achieve the business goals with efficient business processes as well as able to manage day-to-day operation with an existing information technology, whatever existing in an organization. As well as I told earlier, extended enterprise constitutes of pharmacies, drug manufacturers, insurance companies, all can able to cooperate and all the information will be seamlessly get transferred across, giving efficient service to the citizens. So to have this, one of the important thing is we must be having an efficient governance. So in enterprise architecture, even the governance will healthcare industry a lot of regulatory requirements. So all this can be monitored at enterprise level, might be in the Ministry of Health, or might be when we are having cross-boundary information, much higher than that, how the information what to be shared can be done using enterprise architecture in governance level. So we are talking so much, but what is the standard? What are the standards in enterprise architecture? So as I told earlier, the current enterprise architecture, which is really based on open standards, which is vendor neutral and technology neutral, is the open group architecture framework. It adapts the industry best practices contributed by companies across the world. So what is the best way to have an information flow which is boundaryless? So it gives a framework. It can be used as a tool for developing a broad range of different architecture. Even if you take in Ministry of Health, so they'll be having so much of systems running in different hospitals, different clinics, different nursing homes, or different pharmacies. So they got various different architectures. Having a top unified architecture, all can be in a well-managed way, can be integrated. it gives the best practice approaches across the industry practices. So till now I covered what is an enterprise architecture. So all this is enterprise architecture had models, but again every model was specific to the architect or might be a group of architects what they produce. There was not a standard practice. So few years back in 2007, so Archimate came into an existence as a project in Netherlands. So they gave a modeling language. See, the same TOGAF can be interpreted the way they write a documentation and how the end user reads the documentation. But Archimate clearly gives notations, a modeling language. With the modeling language, so what an end user writes or defines, what the author defines, the end user will be able to see the same way because the notations are standards. So with Archimate, what was an intangible of enterprise architecture has become as a tangible. As you can see here, so when we give an end user a few pages of document, nobody likes to read it, or sometimes they may read it, but it takes its own time consuming effort. But here Archimate can condense the information, is more pictorial, and it's aligned with the TOGAF. It's a modeling language for TOGAF, the enterprise architecture. So you may ask, hey, why we need to go to Archimate? There's so much of different modeling languages available in the market. But the reason is there are modeling languages available in the market, but they're too broad or they're specific to a particular industry. So how does Archimate fit in here? As you can see here, irrespective of any industry, there are only two concepts. There is a entity, and the entity to work together, there must establish relationship. That's a high level. If you go very low level, specific to a domain, as a healthcare or a public sector giving for education, so you can be having various specific concepts. And to cater that, you got a lot of other vendors as UML, BPL, which is not required by the business or the enterprise architect to know so much of detail. So Archimate comes in between, which defines exactly what kind of process is needed by the business and what kind of application is needed. So it just specifically defines what is needed by an enterprise architect to give efficient architecture to make it technology neutral. So going forward, as you can see here, it cannot be too specific or it cannot be too generic. So it comes in between, tying exactly what an enterprise architect requires, tying the process and the application together. So, hello, sorry.
Hi, Sunil.
Yeah.
There is a question in our chat box from our AeHIN co-chair, Dr. Bunshay Sanayadin. If enterprise is the organization of a business, example, health, can a hospital plus clinics be considered as an enterprise?
Yes, that's why the enterprise is an extended enterprise.
And how, a follow-up question, how do we harmonize different EA at the small group level to the bigger EA of the ministries?
Okay, so generally what happens once a ministry EA adoption is started by the ministry, at what time they adapt? So once they follow TOGAF, they set the standards based on the strategy of the ministry. At the same level, if a hospital, might be a private hospital, want to go for EA, so what they try to see is they are going to adapt EA in their level to their strategy. At the same time, what they do is whatever the business process, they try to make it technology neutral and well defined. So once this is well defined, say as you know nowadays you got HL7. What HL7 it well defines. Okay, if you want to transfer the information across, this is the format you must, this is the interfaces you must give. So once you adapt that kind of level, once it has been defined in enterprise architecture, so the information across It can be between your what is the nursing home or the hospital or the Ministry of Health can be shared. Did I answer the question? So
Okay.
because even the Ministry of Health is following same TOGAF, and even the hospital or the clinic, whatever it is, they follow the same enterprise architecture. So once they have the same standard, easy to integrate. Might be some of the business process defined by enterprise architect in a hospital or in a clinic might vary, but they follow the same format.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Bunchai said that you answered his question. Another question from Dr. Mursal: is this all at a conceptual model or has already been tested somewhere or piloted? I think he's
okay. Okay. Initially, when they adapt the first enterprise architecture, the conceptual model they start. After it goes to a logical model, then it goes to implementation model. So generally, logical model is the one which builds the building blocks, what we call the architecture building blocks. So once that is well defined, solution building block can be picked up based on exactly what kind of technology or which vendor is giving us, or might be you want to build in-house, or might be you can buy commercial off-the-shelf products. Did I answer the question?
Okay, all right. So I think we can on the microphone of Dr. Bunchai because he has a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Dr. Bunchai, are you on? Do you have a mic with you? Hello, Dr. Bunchai.
No.
Okay, I heard your feedback. Maybe you should turn off your speakers so that we can hear your question better. But as Dr. Bunchai is turning off his speaker, he said that so it is harmonizing different business model at the standard level. He's confirming if it's about harmonizing different business models at the data standards level.
Okay, harmonize the different business model, but again, what they do is every business model they try to separate the layers. So there will be a separate layer for business logic. They exactly know what is the information flow, the data flow, and all they follow a standard of enterprise architecture. And one more thing, when they use Archimate, the notations when they follow it be very easy to follow it and to standardize across an enterprise. Might be in a hospital level, moving up in a Ministry of Health level, or a country level itself.
Okay, right. So I think Dr. Bunchai is ready. Hello, Dr. Bunchai. Go ahead. We can hear you now. Go ahead with your follow-up question.
Yes, I would like to clear the understanding about how we define the enterprise, and it seems like the very high level of the enterprise is the business model, and the sample that I asked previously just to show that many business maybe they have a little bit different goal. But
yes, definitely, yes, yeah.
Like teaching hospital, they have many goals.
Yes, sure,
The general hospital, they maybe don't have the teaching goal. But
yeah.
I mean, the scope of what we call the enterprise architecture, it has to be the country's enterprise architecture, or it can be many levels, and how we can separate this kind of different. They have a common goal. They also have a different goal.
Yes. See, definitely. See what happens. For example, I'll take. See, okay, if you take Sydney, see what kind of practice they follow in New South Wales might be different in Victoria. And even if you have a hospital in Sydney, about 2 hospitals, so everyone have their own business model. But if you go the upper level, the business model might be different. But if you take a patient record, the way of giving the treatment, of course the treating might change here and there, but some are very standardized. So what we are trying to say in enterprise architecture is, you define a business process, you give a notation using Archimate. So once a notation is given, say today what happens, a hospital A is having their own business model. So tomorrow they think, okay, I want to integrate with the hospital B. But now the time consumed to integrate with the hospital A and B, one is the cost factor, the time factor. But once I have a well-defined architecture as a business model, data model, it's seamless to exchange the information. So same thing applies for a government, same thing applies for a country. So once two countries follow a standard of developing their architecture, the underlying business model can be anything. But once they want to exchange the information between them, so they got a standard interface which is defined by a well-proven architecture of TOGAF and using a proven modeling language as Archimate. So that's going to help. So irrespective of it, whatever the business model they follow, it is not affected. So we are trying to standardize only the information exchange when they want to do. At the same time, even when the technology changes, it must not affect the business model. They no need to structure or do the business model based on the product vendor. So they can able to define the business model required the organization level, and they can able to choose a system based on their requirement. That's what the advantage of going for TOGAF as well as Archimate. Did I answer your question?
Thank you. That is perfect. So I think we're ready to move on with our next slides. Thanks, Dr. Bunchai and Dr. Jai Mohan for the inputs in our chat box. Our friends from Thailand and Malaysia. Go ahead, Sunil.
Yeah. So as you can see here, we have TOGAF defined at one side. We got Archimate defined one side. As you can see here, TOGAF defines the processes. A processes can be interpreted different way by different people once it is given at documentation level. But the same given by proven language with the notation, they cannot go wrong. And you got tools to help you. At the same time, whatever the information defined in the processes we define, as well as the modeling we do, everything goes in a repository model. So what is the advantage of repository model is? So sometimes ultimately what we want to achieve is whatever we learn. Okay, today we set up a hospital in example New South Wales. So tomorrow they want to set up one more hospital in a different region. So they already know the building blocks or the processes. So everything will be in a repository. The same thing can be reused. So what we do is we know to reinvent the wheel. See the way the industry is going. So people are very demanding. First of all, we must cut the cost. At the same time, must give better service. How to achieve this? We can achieve this with reusable building blocks. And as you can see here, typically if you take an enterprise, as I told earlier, every enterprise has got a vision. It might be a hospital has got a vision to increase the profit and to the better service. If you take a government, public health, they say we want to cut the cost per end user and to give better service. So based on the vision, they come with a business architecture. So once they know the business architecture, what they want to achieve, they know, then they try to say what kind of information flows across, what kind of systems they need, what is the data required. Then they know all this information, then they try to go, hey, what kind of technology I am able to achieve this? What is available in the market? So then what they do is, as you can see here, this all was previously went into might be a standard template given, or might be a standard template followed by an enterprise. But today, because of Archimate, everything is given as a layer, and every layer has got notations. Of course, we are not going to the notations for you guys. Everything has got a notation. Once you follow a notation, business, application, or technology architecture, it becomes very easy for to reusable, as well as you can see here. Once we have a global information systems, which means the information transfer across between countries, it goes from a state level or to a regional level to a country level. Might be soon it be a global level. If you take the current information, if you take a mobile phone. If I take my mobile phone, irrespective of the country, I can able to get auto roaming. But the same thing is not possible in the health industry. Why is the reason? I mean, I'm not telling the telcos are following enterprise architecture. Yes, they are early adapters. Still, they're standardizing it. But in the healthcare industry, it is not has been done. One of the reason is because all these days, healthcare industry was a walled garden. The information was not shared outside the boundaries of hospitals. But due to globalization, so even the migration pattern of the patients, again, even the patients going for the best healthcare industry across a country or to a different country. So what's happening is it has become a need for the business industry to share the information cross. It can be cross hospitals or cross country or cross boundary of a country. So this is dictating for a healthcare industry to adapt, and wherever depending on the arrangement, they can share the information. So this can be achieved by adapting enterprise architecture as you're seeing here, plus with a standard notation as Archimate. Just what it shows is we are defining a modeling using Archimate. As you can see, the first circle in the top. See, whenever I want to define an enterprise, I try to define based on the principles, constraints, assumptions, requirements. The same thing when I say a principle, I can write so many things. In a constraint, I can write so many things. But once the same thing is given a notation and defined down, as you can see my mouse. So the end user, you can able to clearly understand what I'm trying to convey. And once I define a gap and clearly put the symbol and relevant information there, they clearly based on notation they can able to understand. So once if I give a document to a different hospital or different country, they can able to really understand what is the purpose of document, what it serves. So that is the intention of having a language which clearly shows what it's supposed to do, and that is possible through Archimate. So what is the benefit of TOGAF and Archimate? So as you can see, enterprise architect is a fundamental to an organization, the organization level. As it goes up the ladder, it's in the regional level, then might be the government level, then cross country, boundaryless information can be able to flow, having a best practice of adapting enterprise architecture. And to do this, the de facto is TOGAF, and TOGAF is a de facto standard not only because it's de facto standard, it is not driven by a vendor, it is not driven by a technology, it is just driven by the best practices to make the cost of an enterprise as efficient as well as affordable as possible. So to achieve this both, the tying one is the Archimate. With the standardized notation, symbol, it's able to connect as well as to exactly able to inform the end user what is supposed to do, what was the enterprise architecture defined. So it's able to serve the purpose. So I want to conclude with a proper enterprise architecture in place in an organization or in a country, the cost of healthcare systems can be reduced. Not only reduced, they can able to come with a faster adaptation pattern. What was taking a few months or few years can be reduced drastically. By the time I can say with a proper enterprise architecture, might be the beginning to adapt. There may be some time factor, but once it has become part of the culture of a company, the further projects can reduce the time almost by 2/3 of a regular project what it takes. With the standardization, what happens that there will be seamless information systems, reducing the cost plus giving quality to the patients. So thanks for your time. Please let me, if you have any questions, ask me.
Thank you very much, Sunil, for a very fruitful discussion. So essentially, as we could see, EA is more about strategic planning and making our resources work to our plan without relying much on the technology at hand. I would like to open the floor now for more questions to our speaker. I think we left one question from Dr. Mursaleen from Pakistan. Let me check on that. So okay, but as I see it, it's already addressed. So any more questions from our team? So maybe Dr. Alvin could share his thoughts. Dr. Alvin, are you? Do you have a mic with you?
Yes. Thank you very much, Sunil, for your time. I think this is part of our capacity building on enterprise architectures, and to some extent, you've also shared your ideas about IT governance. I think that the lesson here is that there are actually systems and technologies in organizing information technology implementation in enterprises, and that it's good if we are aware of such technologies and solutions, so that rather than reinventing the wheel, we are aware that these actual solutions exist. I think the message we want to relay to the participants of the conference is that the TOGAF is a method, and it helps an enterprise, whatever you define the enterprise to be, move through systematically towards an environment where you don't have any organization of your projects to something that is well organized, and there's an alignment of the business with the data, with the application, and with the technology. And so I really encouraged our members to continue asking questions and being curious about enterprise architecture, and to participate in the trainings that we are offering. We're having one this March 25 to 28. 18 to 19 people will be taking a TOGAF certification course in Kuala Lumpur. And then starting May and June, we will be offering online courses on enterprise architecture. And I encourage you to all apply, and we'll try to accommodate as many as we can given our budget. Over. Back to you, Aliyah. Thank you, Sunil.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Alvin. This last two questions from our chat room from Mr. Roy Consulta in the Philippines. Is there a is there a notion of maturity in utilizing TOGAF?
Yeah, definitely. See, what happens is a journey. When you start TOGAF, it will be, I can say, like a zero. So once you start the journey, as an enterprise, they have so much of process, so much of systems there. It again depends on the management as well as how much resources given for it. It takes a maturity. Usually at this moment, the maturity standard is up till 5. So maturity 5 means it has got a well-defined services, processes, everything is well organized, a dynamic architecture, agile architecture.
Okay, thanks on that. Another question, last question. How similar and different? I think this is how similar or how different is Archimate and UML?
Oh, okay. UML is a notation too, but UML addresses for a programming language. It's complete. It gives a lot of information which is not necessary for enterprise architecture. It goes right from how to define a class, how the class interacts, how to define a use case. So there are almost like 14 modules in UML. So UML is so much extensive, and again, which part of UML to use in enterprise architecture is a big question mark. So if you make UML as part of an enterprise architecture, so every enterprise architects come with his way of understanding of using one of the 14 modules of UML. But if you go for TOGAF, in TOGAF what happens is as you can see this picture, see, you can see UML comes in the lower part. It has got so much of domain specific. It is mainly UML came for object oriented programming. So as there was no other notations available in the market, then you got BPEL, Business Process Execution Language, only to address the business processes. Then afterwards the industry thought, hey, there is a gap. We have a domain specific for an object-oriented language. We have got for a business process. What is for the enterprise? So somewhere in 2000 they came with ArchiMate. So ArchiMate was standardized about 3 years back by the open group, and from 2 years it has got a lot of strength, and they added a lot of new notations, and it addresses all what is needed for enterprise architect based on TOGAF. So for enterprise architecture in the enterprise level, at this moment Archimate is the only solution.
Okay.
Did I answer the question?
Yes, I believe. Thank you so much. Another okay, yes, from Dr. Bunshay. Last question.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Where is there is good implementation of HIT based on TOGAF? Dr. Jai Mohan from Malaysia, do you want to clarify on your question? Dr. Jai, hello, you're on air.
Okay. No, where can we see a good example of an end-to-end solution based on TOGAF and Archimate?
Okay, this is a good question. See, it depends on the organizations. At this moment, I don't think we have got, because Archimate in the last 2 years it is there. So as it is, I don't see any industry vertical which is completely a use case is available. Yes, they are adapting what you call Archimate as part of the company structure, but still it takes a long way to go. In terms of TOGAF, yes, in New South Wales they're following it. It's a journey. Say, if a journey starts, it may take 1 or 2 years or 3 years, depending on the commitment of the organizations. But what we feel is, whatever happened in the last 10-15 years was different. But what happens in the next 2 years, a drastic change, because now the the government has become more liberal of sharing the information within the country itself, as well as even some of the health information systems they're ready to share with different countries. The second thing is, again, there's some standards set in the industry, HL7, where the data formats can be exchanged in a seamless way. So all this will contribute. We estimate might be in 1 or 2 years you can be having a lot of countries will be telling, yes, we implemented a system with a complete TOGAF and Archimate. You can see a lot of examples. This moment it might be there, but still, like, it is in a very early stage.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sunil and Jai, for Dr. Jai, for your question. There are some questions in our chat room that are already addressed, like that of Dr. Jakir asking on the best framework. Is it Zachman and TOGAF FEA? And it was addressed that the best EA framework is one that the enterprise embrace and applies.
Okay, see, Zachman is a good framework, but Zachman is static. Zachman came about 30 years back. Initially, it helps you to identify who are your business, where they're using, where they come from, but it stops there. And Zachman was all the way run by one company. It does not have much of the industry support, and it was one of the best, the only framework which came into the industry. But the TOGAF is very dynamic. It constantly addresses the industry needs. They take the best practice, and every few years, every few months, whatever the best practice they try to incorporate, and it's available for the public to view and to incorporate in the organization. So the dynamic architecture, agile architecture is only TOGAF which is available in the industry currently. There's no other. Even SAP themselves, they adapt TOGAF. They're the platinum members for Open Group. Even IBM themselves also, they adapt TOGAF, as well as Oracle. So all the leading product manufacturers or product vendors which give support for healthcare industry, they themselves are adapting TOGAF because of its dynamic architecture.
All right. Yeah. I think we have so much for this afternoon. Thank you, Sunil, and Vish from CNC Solutions is also in our meeting right now. Thank you very much for gracing this AeHIN Hour. I would like now to invite everyone for a photo taking session just to capture our virtual presence in this AeHIN Hour. Hope you would be able to open your own webcams and videos so that I could take a picture of ourselves. Thank you, Muhammad Ula from GIZ. Others? So are we the only ones? Dr. Jargal, I hope you could open your video cam, and Sunil also if you have one, so I could have a screenshot of our attendance this afternoon. So thank you. Okay, I will just wait for you to open your video cam. So while opening your camera, we'd like to have attendance check. Dr. Mursaleen from Pakistan, Fatima from Bangladesh, Dr. Jaimuhan from Malaysia, Jakir Masood from Bangladesh, Dr. Jargal from Mongolia, Mark Landry from WHO, Muna from JZ Bangladesh, Sir Dr. Raymond, Sir Roy from the Philippines, Thailand, Fish, and Winsel from Department of Health. So I'm now opening her cam. Okay, thank you to all. So for a while, please freeze. I think Sunil doesn't have his own video cam, so I will just capture our there, Fatima. Okay, smile. One. I'm taking the photos of Dr. Alvin, Fatima, Zakir, and Dr. Jargal. Smile. 1, 2, 3. There, I got a screenshot of that. So please stand by for the next. So let me have that. Our next friends are Thailand. There, Dr. Bunchai is with 2 beautiful girls. Dr. Bunchai, Klube, do you have yours? Okay, for a while. I will take the screenshot of Thailand friends. Okay, smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, got that. And last batch, thank you for bearing with this attendance check. So when we are 500, we will not do this anymore. Okay, I think Winsel doesn't have their video cam. So again, thank you very much for being with us. I will share the slides of the one that Dr. Jai has shared. Sunil, I have a question. Are you still in our meeting room? Can we have a copy of your slides and share it within our group this afternoon? Sunil?
Yeah, I'll send it across. Yeah, I'll send you next few minutes.
Okay.
I'll email you.
Okay, thank you. But I cannot see your video cam, so maybe.
Yeah, sorry. Somehow my video, I was installing some software that corrupted my driver.
Okay, no worries. Yeah. We'll have another session, hopefully, for a more extended discussion on TOGAF and Archimate. So thank you very much. See you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Aliyah, for your cooperation and for organizing all the things. Thanks, Alvin.
Bye. Thank you.
And thanks, Vish. Yeah.
Okay. So please check your emails for the evaluation form to be sent.